Hey there, folks. Welcome to React Wednesdays under new management. As some of y'all might have heard or might have seen, we did a few months ago, I think, a stream with TJ where we kind of did a changing of the guard. TJ's been running the show for, gosh, ever, it feels like. But we recently kind of transitioned, handed it off. He is kind of retired as host of React Wednesdays, and I'm stepping in. If you have not yet met me, my name is Kathryn Grayson Nanz. I am the React and Design Developer Advocate at Progress Software. And today, I am super excited to be joined by Hetali, who I will let introduce herself in just a moment, so that we can tell you guys about the future of React Wednesdays and the new Learn with Hetali program that's also going to be part of it. So thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us. Hetali, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hi, my name is Hetali Shah, and I work as a technical support engineer too here at Progress. And I work with customers on a daily basis and provide advanced support and custom support. That's my daily job, and I work on Kendo UI suite. I was supporting for Angular before.
So you've had a lot of experience writing Angular then, but not yet with React. It's my understanding. I know that you're learning React. So
Yes, so I've actually started learning React, and I'll be providing support for Kendo React. So we thought that this would be a good opportunity to also do live stream with React Wednesdays. And with the process of me learning, I can also share videos of what I'm learning and discuss the topics.
I think it'll be really good because we have a bunch of I know that we have a bunch of beginners, right, who tune into the channel and are trying to pick up React or learn something new. And it's really hard, honestly, once you've been writing in a language or using a framework for a long time, to put yourself back into that beginner mentality and try to remember what tripped you up or what you struggled with when you were first starting. Because once it's clicked, it makes sense. And you're like, oh, of course. So trying to go back in time and remember what you struggled with is so hard. So being able to kind of document that journey and be the beginner, but also be making content as the beginner, I think is going to be so awesome.
Yes, it was definitely tough to get started with React, especially because of the Angular background that I had, and they're not similar at all. Even though the concepts, the concept is same, that they're both used for single page applications, but the way they function, they're completely different. And I remember having a talk with my manager, like, oh, I need to start, but to start React, it's that first phase where you need to get over the part, like, and you have to completely have a blank head to get started with React and not compare it with Angular at all.
Oh yeah.
So that was the initial phase, but once I got past it, it's actually been fun after that.
I actually went in the other direction. So I had been writing React in a job where I was using React for a couple years, and then I took a new job and everything was in Angular. And so I had to switch that way. And I remember being like, this is way more different than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It's somebody was describing it to me as Angular being very strict and very precise, and then React just lets you do whatever you want.
That's one difference that I'm still catching up on, because I've been working on Angular for the past 4 years now. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is how you do in Angular. Yes, this is how you do. With React, I'm still learning. There are still new steps on doing certain things. So it's been fun. And I've not completely learned it, and I'm in the process. So I'm also creating videos on the side. So it's fun and fresh in my head with what I'll be doing. So yeah, it's interesting. I actually worked on I worked with few customers as well with React. I'm picking up with the tickets and stuff.
Nice.
So it's been fun, and I'm every day so proud. Oh yes, I can do this in React now.
Comment in the chat from Dasha looks like. This is love learning React. Although that like heart with the drops, I'm trying to decide if that's actually a positive emoji or not. That feels possibly sarcastic. I think you mean it genuinely, but it did make me laugh. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting shift, right? Because I mean, one of the other big differences is that as much as we group React and Angular, we really group React with all the other big frameworks. But in truth, it's just a library. It's not actually a full-fledged framework the way that like Angular is.
Yeah.
One of the biggest differences that I noticed kind of going from one to the other was that Angular is really, it's an all-in-one solution. Everything you need pretty much start to finish is going to be kind of built into Angular, and there are very few like external libraries that I had to go bring in, or like the dependency management was a lot easier. Whereas with React, you're almost always grabbing something else to manage the state or any number of things.
Yeah. And also you can add React in your existing code. You don't have to like change your code entirely
That's
to
true.
use React library. So that's one good thing about it. It's not time consuming to transfer your entire project from a certain application to React.
Nice. So that's the stuff that you've liked so far. Is there anything with React that you have not liked? And what's been a challenge?
Um, so I As of now, I've not reached the challenging part or a part that I've not liked. I'm actually loving it. I've learned how to
Like,
create new components and use them with other components. So it's been really interesting. And I'm also using props and everything. It's way
yep.
different. So, like, maybe I'll say
Yes.
maybe the syntax part I'm still getting used to, but I don't dislike it. It's just a struggle that I'm currently trying to tackle.
No, that's very fair. I remember thinking like when I was moving over to Angular, everything was so separate. Like the template is so separate from the actual like JavaScript that you're writing. And with React, a lot of that is all just kind of together with JSX. And so I
Yep.
could see where that syntax jump would be kind of a weird one. Again, I think it's really probably just whatever you learned first. Because I was like, yeah, of course, it's all together. It makes total sense. Going back and forth is a pain. But like I've talked with Alyssa, who is the Angular DevRel, and she's like, "How do you do it? How do you make sense of these files that are just such a cluster and such a mess?"
Yeah. Yeah, with Angular, like you use attributes with and you assign them in double quotes, and in
Mm.
React it's curly braces. So
Yes.
like just today I wanted to assign an object to one of the props, and I had to like it was within curly braces, like so another curly brace and then like the object. So I was like, oh okay, so that's something I figured out today. That's how you assign an object to a property in React.
Yeah.
So
So were folks popping in the chat? Hello, Lance. Thanks for swinging by. So we talked a little bit about what you're learning, but actually have not talked much about Learn with Hetali yet. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what Learn with Hetali is and what we can expect?
yes. So it's gonna be a part of React Wednesday series, and we're gonna drop a video every month. I
Mhm.
believe every second day, second Wednesday of the month. Um, and it's gonna be short clips, nothing too long. Short clips of me discussing what I've learned or something that I found interesting. I'm just gonna start with the basics of React in the first few videos, or like how to create a new component or function in React.
Mhm.
And the first video is actually going to drop on 8th of February. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and they'll be pre-recorded videos, but I'll also be looking at the comments and even have the viewers to suggest any topics they want me to discuss or like any questions if they have. So I'll also be covering that in the next videos. And yeah, it's going to be, yeah, I'll be doing few demos as well, so that's going to be interesting too. um,
Nice. Yeah, so for folks that might have watched React Wednesdays before, we're going to switch up the format and we're going to switch up the cadence just a little bit. So you'll get 2 React Wednesdays episodes every month. So we're going to be doing like an every other week cadence. 1 week will be Learn with Hetali. So you get a Learn with Hetali episode and then a break. And then the week after that, you'll get a React Wednesdays interview. It'll be more like the way we've done, or the way TJ at least has done React Wednesdays in the past, where we have a guest, someone who's in the React ecosystem, making a library, or just someone who's an expert in something, who can come on and talk all things new, exciting, and React with us here on the Code It Live channel. So it should be like kind of a good mix of kind of what's new and trending for folks that are looking to kind of jump in and stay current, and something that's a little bit more beginner focused or a refresher on the basics if you're looking to really like strap down that React foundational knowledge. I think it's gonna be a good blend. Ooh, we got a good question in the chat. Do you feel that knowing Angular was helpful in getting started with React, or was it problematic?
It was definitely problematic. Like like I said before, the concept is same, the way they work, but the syntax and like Angular is in TypeScript, this is JSX, so everything is different, or even how you assign variables to each attribute or property. So
Yeah.
it's different, and like to start React knowing Angular, you actually have to just have a blank head. You just can't compare it at all. So
So are you using TypeScript with React with the stuff that you're learning now, or have you decided to just do good old fashioned
uh
JavaScript?
not types, I'm not doing TypeScript. I'm using
Okay.
JSX.
Yeah.
That's also something new and interesting, but it's like just HTML in JavaScript.
Mhm.
But the way it compiles it, it's amazing. So it's like much more easier. But I know HTML, I know JavaScript, so it's just easier.
Yep. That was almost exactly when I took my first job where I was writing React. I had not done like software engineering before. I was coming from like purely like website development world. So I had done a lot of like one-off sites and stuff, but nothing that was really application based. And I was really nervous about learning React. And my boss was literally like, you can do this. You know enough JavaScript and you certainly know HTML and CSS, and that's all JSX is. And I was like, I feel like you're oversimplifying things. But he was actually pretty correct. Like,
Yes, it is. I actually tried to see an example where, like, JSX is optional in React, so I tried to see an example where I can.
it's really
And
weird.
yeah, I
No.
was like, nope, not happening, because I use JavaScript, and in DOM manipulation and stuff, you use create element methods, but
Yeah.
the same, it's not exactly the same, and it's just so confusing. I'm like, I think I'll just stick to JSX because it's
It's
so much
really
easier.
clunky.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
it's neat, it's clean, and it's just HTML. So
yeah. No, there was one time Sam, one of the other DevRels on the team, was like, I forget what he was working on that involved React, but he had a question. And so he like calls me up and shares his screen. He's like, do you know why this isn't working? But he wasn't using JSX. And I was like, no. Nobody codes like this, Sam. Why are you doing this to yourself? Like, I was
yeah,
like, I'm
but
gonna need you to scrap this. We're gonna start this over with something we're gonna use like Vite or Create React App or something that's gonna roll this all up for you and get you started on the right path. You're just gonna throw this away. Like,
yeah, I think there's a babel.io page which actually shows how it compiles, and
yeah.
it's actually just easier. Paste it there and get the JSX version, and you'll be solid. So
Yeah, it's really interesting once you kind of look kind of behind the curtain there and what React is doing and what's kind of happening behind the scenes. It's weird. I've done a little bit of poking at that, mostly from an accessibility standpoint, because I was trying to figure out like, okay, so what's happening, between what we're typing here and what's actually showing up in the browser. So that things, if you're adding ARIA or like things that are going to impact an HTML element specifically, like what's going on back there. And it's not as complicated as you would think, but still more complicated than I would want to do day to day. Like
yeah, the object, like the children that it has, and it's confusing to see what is going where. Like if you assign a JSX to a variable and if you console log that variable, you'll see that object. And if it's an HTML that's like huge, that object is going to be even more nested and confusing to understand, and I definitely don't prefer that. So
yeah. Oh, some stuff in the chat that I missed a little bit. Sodium saying TypeScript for the win. Yep. And you can, if you're more comfortable with TypeScript, Hetali, you can use that with React. So there are ways. And that maybe that's a good topic we can explore in a Learn with Hetali video. Because that's definitely
I think I have read about it. Like you can use TypeScript in React, but I've not reached that part yet. So
I've only done a little bit of work with it. TypeScript is one of those things that I'll admit, almost every year something comes up where I'm like, I should get better at TypeScript. Like, I should really get stronger with TypeScript. And then every time I have to start a new project, it's just like, or what if I don't? What if I'm lazy and I just keep going the way that I always have been? So one day I'm gonna master TypeScript. I swear. I did dabble with it again when I was writing Angular. I swear I was doing it every day. But now
it's actually pretty easy if you know JavaScript. It's just type oriented. You just have to assign the type to each variable.
Right.
And that's it.
Right, like, and I know it's going to be helpful. I know I'm going to have less bugs to deal with. It's going to make troubleshooting easier. The laundry list of reasons why I should be doing it. And yet I literally just started a new project the other week and I was like, nah, I'm good. Oh, man. So one of the things that I'm curious about is why React, right? Like there's a lot of other frameworks out there. Some of them even possibly like kind of at the top of their hype cycle in a way that React is not, right? Like Vue is having a moment, Svelte is kind of having a moment. What made you interested in learning React as opposed to maybe one of those?
So React is also super popular, and it's like being used in all sizes of companies, like even startups. And since I work in a team that provides support and we also have a product, Kendo React, I wanted to get into supporting more for Kendo React customers. And we also have like all these big companies, or like all companies using Kendo React. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to jump into it. And um, it's something that I had also started 4 years ago, but then I hit a pause on it, and I then started working on Angular because I think I had reached the Redux part, which I found so confusing back then.
That's
and
fair.
then I saw, okay, yeah, Angular is more fun. Okay, so I switched, and I was working on Angular all this while, and I was like, okay, now is a good time to go back. So this is something I learned 4 years ago. They've had so many more updates, so many new things. So
yeah,
I'm starting from scratch, and just between React 17 and 18, there are a few differences. I actually started learning with React 17, and when I was like running the application, it gave me a warning in the console saying, "Hey, you now need to use like create root for React 18." I was like, "Oh wow, okay, this is new."
Yep. No, I was just about to say, like, this actually feels like a really good time to jump in because we just had, I say just had the React 18 release comparatively.
Yeah.
But it's been out long enough that they've like fixed a couple of the little snags, but we're like, we're in a good place, And there's some really cool new stuff that React 18 introduced that even I have not fully had a chance to play with yet. But it's really neat that you'll be able to just kind of have that in at the that'll just be your base understanding of React. You know, that's not like a new thing that you're gonna have to master. Everything's a new thing that you're gonna have to master. So
Yeah.
you'll come in already a master of like, you know, suspense and hydration and some of the new things that the rest of us are having to play the catch up game on.
Yeah, I mean, compared to 17, there's not much difference. There are just few things. And the good thing is React page, they also have like this one page of changes, and you'll see what all they've changed for React 18. And it's just easy to
Mhm.
glance through if you're jumping from 17 to 18. So,
Yeah, really the only difference is some of the concurrent rendering stuff that came with React 18. And then, yeah, as you mentioned, just like how you're initially setting up the application. So you definitely I think it's a good time. I think it's a good moment. And React is like in a very stable era, as you mentioned. Like a lot of big companies are adopting it. It's just in a good place. I
yes,
don't know,
and
Bob.
it's also easy to use, like compared to other libraries and frameworks. It's just so easy. Like all you need to know is JavaScript and HTML, and just put it together in one, and you have your JSX. I'm sorry, I'm a JSX fan, so I'm
No,
like
it's great.
supporting.
I'm in full support. Oh,
So
we get some folks in the chat. Hey, Napalm. Napalm's one of our regulars. It's great to see you back. Yeah, Sodium says React easy to understand. I tend to agree. I found it easier than Angular. I tell you what.
yeah, and it's like it's a declarative library. So like with just little code, you're going to get rich applications. So why not?
Yeah.
And like if you can modify it, like add it on top of your existing code, it's a plus. You know, you save a lot of time from
Hmm.
moving everything from an old code to new one. Um,
Agreed. Yeah, and then Creative Null here says Redux is hard, but it is pretty awesome. But there are some good libraries out there and make it easy for state management, which is true. I think it's like you don't necessarily need one right at first when you're first learning, but as your projects will start to get a little bit more complex, stuff like Redux is gonna be worth it in spades.
Yeah, I
So
think like the last time I was learning, I got so scared, and I was referencing few resources at once, and I got so confused. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna stop this right here. So this time, I'm just sticking to one source and just following
yeah,
that.
that's fair. I feel like it can be overwhelming when you're first starting and there's this like kind of have that drinking from a fire hose feeling where you're like, oh my god, I have to master all of this. But piece
Yeah,
by piece, it's not too
yeah,
bad.
and everyone teaches in a different way, different concept, different example, and
Hmm.
so it's just something that I would not do again ever is like learn from 2 3 people at once and
Yeah.
refer several pages to get something.
Yeah. Once you've got the basics down, you can always go look and see how other people are doing it and maybe kind of revise what you're doing. But I agree. When you're trying to learn, pick one way, make it happen, figure out kind of the base steps, and then you can always switch it up later. One of the other things that's nice with you learning React now is that we have the new beta docs for React, which are like so much easier. Have you been? I feel like you're looking at me like a little bit confused. Have you?
I'm like, what is she saying? What are you talking about?
No, totally fair. So they've been working on a beta set of the React docs, like for the library itself, that are just about done. Like just the other day, I believe Dan Abermont was on Twitter saying that they are 99% done and they're ready to like reroute so that when you go to the old React docs page, they'll shift you to the new ones. So I'm gonna look them up and I can drop the link in chat
Oh,
because they are so clean, so sharp, so nice.
yeah, I
Right.
haven't read that yet. But that's good. I kind of like the React JS page too, like the current one. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm pretty sure the new one will be even better. So
I will say, yeah, I got a lot of love for the new docs. Yep, beta docs, they're amazing. So for anyone who has not checked those out yet, beta.reactjs.org, they are getting ready to switch them over. I think, in fact, if you go to the React docs, like the 1.0, they have a banner at the top now that was like just recently added. Yeah, so there's a banner now that's a try out a preview of the new React docs. But yeah, so for folks that are just getting started, I will say I do think the beta docs are a little bit better, a little bit easier, and just a more beginner friendly, a little bit more comprehensive. And honestly, the design of them is just nice. I'm a big design nerd, so the fact that the beta docs look a little bit nicer, look a little bit cleaner, big fan. So definitely scope those out. Oh, and hello, Fuel. Thanks for swinging by. We are, for anyone who has jumped in a little bit late, we are chatting with Hetali, who is going to be basically my co-host for React Wednesdays. We're switching up the React Wednesdays format a little bit, so you will get a new React Wednesdays episode every other Wednesday. The first of those every other Wednesdays will be a Learn with Hetali episode where she tackles a new like foundational beginners topic in React. And then the second will be one of the more kind of standard React Wednesdays interviews with somebody else in the React space that you probably have come to know and love already. Basically what TJ was doing. So just switching things up a little bit on the React Wednesdays front to kind of split our time, cater a little bit to folks that are new in the space and folks that are, maybe been here for a while and are looking to keep pace with what's new and current. So sorry for the recap if you've been here since the beginning, but just good to clue everybody in. Oh, so I'm trying to think of what else I had wanted to ask you. Oh, right. You mentioned that you were following along with just one resource, right? Which makes all the sense in the world. What resource are you using? Because I bet there are other folks out there that are also trying to learn that would be interested.
So I'm following this YouTube channel of Bob Zerol. He's amazing.
What was it? I'm gonna go ahead and look that up so I can put the link in the chat for folks that are interested.
It's Bob Zerol. So I can actually share the link with you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Just a second. He's amazing. Only thing is the video is for React 17.
That's still, like you said, there's not, especially at the like very basic foundational level, there's not a ton that's changed.
So. Yeah. So I follow his video. He also gives us assignments, quiz, and he's very interactive, and
nice.
That's been nice. I honestly like something where I can also do practical stuff on the side instead of just binge watching a video and
Sorry, I was just adding that to the chat. So for folks that are interested, this is the YouTube link to that course that Hetali is following. But so have you been, does it guide you through like sample applications or is it just kind of individual tasks right now? Like what's it, are you doing like a tutorial? How's it structured?
He uses a platform called Scrimba where the basic code is already there and you just have to add the React library to it. I personally do it in a local environment to get more hang of everything instead of just the React part. So he'll teach you how to create new components and then he'll give you task on how to do it. And he teaches from absolute basic. So all you need to know is your JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And this like the way he teaches gradually going into the depth of React, it's just nice and not overwhelming.
Good.
And like he'll also give you a quiz where he's also asking few theory questions, so that way it's not just completely practical.
That's good. It sounds like you found a really great resource, so I'm glad.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like a 12-hour course, but I'm done with 1/6 of it, and it's been pretty amazing. I think thanks to him, I'm more interested in learning React than seeing the React JS page itself, or the documentation page. I like it when someone is actually teaching you and
Yeah.
interacting with you, giving you assignments.
Well, it's really encouraging, I think, when someone is like really excited about something, that becomes really infectious. And anyone who's like hyped enough about React to make YouTube videos and like bring people in and teach them how to do it, like, you know that that's something they love. They love React and they love coding in React. And so that, at least to me, I find that very encouraging and very infectious. It makes me excited about it too.
Yeah.
Oh, comment from Lance says, good instructors can make or break your initial learning experience. I'll never forget my introduction to C# in the 2000s thanks to someone named Bob Tabor.
I think it's all the Bobs. They just love to teach us.
If your name is Bob, you're just destined to teach someone how to code. Yeah. No, I always, when I was first learning JavaScript, I think it was just, I'm trying to remember what it was called. There was a book. I don't know that it was essential. It was Eloquent JavaScript. I'm 99% sure that I was using to learn. And the person who wrote it just had like they had like a sense of humor. And the way that they approached problems was interesting. And like the sample projects that they gave were funny and amusing. And I was like, thank goodness. It felt overwhelming. That was a long time ago. I went to go look it up. There's like it's on like the 3rd edition now. but it was so helpful to have somebody like who made it feel approachable and who made it feel fun and not like a task, you know?
Yeah. Not like reading a book or just reading a document or something. So
exactly.
He explains stuff and it's just like nice. So and like his number of views and rating also says a lot.
So I'm curious on that note, if you have any advice that you would give to anybody else who's just kind of starting out on their React journey, whether that's like someone learning React who hasn't learned anything before, someone who's switching frameworks and trying to master something new, any advice for folks learning?
For folks who are switching frameworks, do not compare at all. Like, just completely remove that framework from your head and just start with a blank head. And for folks who are it's like if this is your first library that they're learning, I'll say know your HTML, JavaScript and CSS well, and you'll do fine. Do a lot of practical assignments instead of just going over whatever resource that they're going through. And yeah, you'll just get better with practice. And there are many communities where people discuss issues, like if you ever run into a problem. I use Stack Overflow a lot. So use those platforms if you have any questions or if you're stuck somewhere. And sometimes just take a break if it gets too overwhelming. Give yourself a few hours, few days, whatever it takes. And yeah, and enjoy
there's
the
no better. Oh yeah. No, there's no better like debugging process than like a walk, a meal, or a nap. Like about 99% of problems that I run up against when I'm coding, if I take a little break and do something else and come back, the answer is right there.
Yeah, it's happened to me too. Like I'll be spending 3-4 hours on something, I'm stuck. I'm like, I'll just go take a walk, take a break. I'll be back, and then it's done in 15 minutes. I'll have an answer in 15, 20 minutes. So
Yep.
that's all you need sometimes. A clean slate.
Yeah. I also really like your point, which you've said a few times now, and I really agree with it because it is important about like approaching a new framework with just like a blank slate and being ready to not play the comparison game or not try to like do a one-to-one translation of something else you were doing in another framework. Because I think that's a really easy trap to fall into, especially because we see so many articles that are like React versus Angular or like, that want to do that comparison. And maybe that's helpful when you're at that high level where you're just choosing a framework to work in. But once you're committed, I agree that like trying to run that comparison at all times is A, exhausting, and B, unhelpful.
Yeah. I remember this one time. So I use this life cycle in Angular a lot called ng after view init.
Mhm.
So and I wanted something similar in React, and I'm like searching what's the alternative for ng after view init and React, and I got no answer. So just don't expect both of them to be same or have similar concepts. So
Yeah, they're just solving problems in completely different ways. And even if you can solve the same problem, that doesn't necessarily mean that the approaches are going to be,
yeah.
similar in any way.
Yeah, there are direct approaches in React, and whereas in Angular you'll have to take a longer approach, or like, yeah, it's different. So just don't compare at all, or like go back to your Angular nodes to do React. No. So
Well, I think we're just nearly at time. So before we wrap up, though, I would love to hear what we can look forward to as far as topics with the next few episodes of Learn with Hetali. And also, if people are interested in asking you questions or suggesting topics for you, how can they do that?
yes, so the next video is gonna come on February 8th, and it's gonna be React basics, just talking about introduction of React, few fun facts, and a demo video on how to create a static page in React. I know React is not used for static page, but that's where I'm gonna get started with,
Yeah,
and just show how to render a page. And if anyone has any topics or suggestions, the YouTube comment option is there. Um, you know, um, they can just drop in there, and I'll
perfect.
try to cover it in. I cannot promise directly the next video. It depends on what the topic is. I directly don't want to jump to a complicated topic. So based on
Yeah.
what the topic is, I'll eventually cover it. But
Nice. But yeah, it'll get added to the list either
yes,
way, even if
yes,
it's not the next thing.
yes. Yes.
Well,
And
fun.
any questions if they have from the previous videos, again, I'll try to cover in the next one or the one after. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah. Or like if they even want any demos that they want me to do, like, some demonstration of some application or something, I can also do that. So, anything, if they have suggestion, uh, that'll be nice. Yeah.
That's awesome. And is there anywhere, I don't know if you do personal social media, if you want to share that, if people wanted to follow you on Twitter or wherever, do you do any of that or is that not your jam?
I actually don't do social media. I deactivated Twitter last month
I'm
because of
a
all
little
the
bit
fiasco.
jealous. No, I'm impressed and jealous.
Um,
Oh man, I swear. Again, much like turning, excuse me, much like learning TypeScript, I'm always like, I'm gonna get off Twitter, I'm gonna get off Instagram, I'm gonna get off, whatever, TikTok, insert app here. I simply cannot.
I
I'm
just
off.
I deleted the apps. So for Twitter, I
Oh,
actually deactivated the account, but Instagram and everything, I deleted the app. So like,
nice.
it's
Yeah,
difficult for me to open Instagram through a browser and actually enjoy the user interface. So
right.
it's hardly that I ever open. Um,
No, I shut my Facebook down like a few years ago now, and I was so sure at the time that that was going to be like the start of my like social media detox, and it wasn't. I just do everything else but Facebook now. So
uh,
yeah, creative
so
null agrees. Good choice. Good choice. The rest of us are admire your choices.
But I would also like to add that if they have questions and if they want to use Twitter, they can also use our Kendo UI account.
That's true.
DM us there or like tweet us there, and they can also use the hashtag React Wednesdays if it's like specifically something that they want me to cover. So we can also use Twitter if that's something that they prefer.
Yeah. And you can also tweet me because God knows I'm going to be on Twitter until the inevitable heat death of the universe. I've proven that I'm incapable of leaving. So you can find me at Kathryn Grayson on more platforms than I'd like to admit. So feel free if you've got React Wednesdays suggestions, guests that you want to see, or if you yourself would like to be a guest, definitely reach out. Or, of course, if you have questions or topics or things you'd like for us to cover on Learn with Hetali, you can find us, obviously me, at Kathryn Grayson, or you can use at Kendo UI to find the whole team. But for now, I think we're gonna call it. So thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Definitely stay tuned. We're gonna have new episodes for you every other week. So look forward to some React goodness every Wednesday in this space. So see you later.
Bye. See you soon.